All right, music fans, welcome. Harmless Dave here, talking about real music and doing it in real time for a few real people out here, just like you and just like me. So, instead of featuring something new, I've been going to thrift stores, and this is kind of like a they say guilty pleasure, but I'm not guilty. I am not guilty walking out of this store with this. Some people look at me and they go, I don't know. You're not 85 years old, although there are days where I'm kind of feeling it because an 85-year-old would probably be like, "Hey, you're not taking my Billy Vaughn album, Dave." Um, this just, if you go and listen to this stuff, you may find it primitive or kind of mundane or a little bit silly. There's cartoon music on some of this stuff, which I think is fantastic because I'm a big fan of old cartoons. And when I hear a song like the album behind me, which I think is Conniff Meets Butterfield, I picked that up along with this. And the song She Must Have Been a Beautiful Baby came on. And that was used in like multiple Warner Brothers cartoons from the old days. And every time I hear that, I think, yeah, this is me being babysat by Channel 56 when I was a kid. So, anyway, Billy Vaughn, really good at what he does. And a lot of this music is just being forgotten about. And I know, it's all transferred. It's been uploaded. I'm sure I can go find that album, which what this has done, though, is it's made me go look for the album cleaned up on Spotify or on YouTube Music or whatever. And it's really cool to hear it nice and clean and all digitized. But man, there's something about the old console stereo with this album. You know, you open up that middle compartment and you look in there and the lights are on, the tubes are glowing underneath those tubes. The tubes, not the band, the tubes, but the actual tubes in the stereo. That's what made the music sound warm, and those speakers putting out analog like you wouldn't believe. So, anyway, lots of classical influences, jazz influences, and it's just fun to listen to. Speaking of classical influences, folks, Jeff Lynne and ELO, they're just about done. They've got one show left in Hyde Park on July 13th. So if you never got to see ELO, raise your hand. I'm one of those guys. Jeff says it'll be an emotional show. He recently interviewed with Mojo Magazine. He says, it's been great getting to tour the world, and to this day, at every show, I'm always surprised. I don't know why he's surprised, because, I mean, who's coming to replace ELO? You know, he's been delighting crowds with their energy being put back onto the band. He says, I will miss it. He's 76 years old. And, you know, I did, some people who send me things, I did watch some ELO footage from not too long ago, maybe a couple of months ago, where they wrapped up the tour. And unfortunately, folks, Jeff he's lost a little bit. You know, he's lost the fastball, and it's just sad. But you know, how long can you keep doing this? He is a great musician, a legendary musician. Thank God he's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, right? Took a while, took way too long. Just some of the bands that went in. What that year was like Deep Purple, ELO. I forget what year that was. But I'm like, these bands aren't in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It was just stupid. But thank God he's in there. And he should be in there multiple times just because he's such a great musician, a great producer. Think of Tom Petty. Think of Traveling Wilburys. Think of Dave Edmunds. Think of Joe Walsh kind of recently, maybe now 10 years ago that album came out, which is crazy to think. But as far as the final show, and if you're over in Great Britain, if you're in the UK, I would definitely be trying to get tickets for that. He says, we'll be, of course, playing all the songs the fans want to hear. Nice. As for surprises, these are the final shows. So who knows what can happen? Now, maybe there'll be a special guest or two, right? I mean, there should be. I mean, if he's done, some people should show up and send him off in a good way. So he says here, just because I won't be touring as ELO anymore or with ELO, it doesn't mean it's the last that we've seen of Jeff Lynne. He says, I'm happy with what I've done. This is not a farewell to music. I'm excited to return to the studio full time, which is what I love. So, if you're a classic rock person looking for a great producer, Jeff Lynne's not out on the road. He can produce. And, again, we're fortunate that we've lived through some of the greatest music in the world ever produced. And the thing about ELO is they don't have an ELO farm system. There's no ELO farm team coming up through the ranks. Bev Bevan years ago created ELO Part 2, and there was a lot of tumult and chaos that Jeff was not happy. Jeff Lynne was not happy with that, but that was a pretty interesting band. I had a chance to see them on two separate occasions now because the tickets are reasonable. And of course, ELO wasn't out on the road, and I would recommend that. They are still a band, although they've had to change the name several times. They no longer can put ELO in the name, but they're now called the Orchestra. And they even put out an album of their own music probably 15, 20 years ago under the name The Orchestra, and it was pretty good. This guy, Parthenon Huxley, is the leader of it. And I believe Mick Kaminsky, who used to be the violin player a long time ago for ELO, is still in the band. So if they go out there and do something, is it as good as ELO? No. Is it a reminder of how great ELO is? Yep, it sure is. And the fact that they've put out their own music, I think, is pretty impressive. But all of what they do is inspired by the great Jeff Lynne. So one more time for Billy Vaughn. All right, as this album lingers a while, get it? Linger a while. If you go to thrift stores and you have a turntable, it's just fun. If you haven't heard this music before, and what it will do was it'll inspire you to go and listen to more of it and to find it online, because most of it, like I say, has been uploaded. But there are some very weird collections that I'll find that I know are out of print, and that's what makes this even more interesting, that you're getting music that nobody else has in their collection, or at least organized in a way where it's just different from what everybody else has. Now, I'm sure there are more serious collectors than me. I go out here and look for stuff, and they have, a requirement. They probably have their phone with them, and they're scanning barcodes or something, or looking at serial numbers. Yeah, I'm not that serious about it, but I do enjoy finding this stuff. And I think overall, expanding your musical palette is a good thing. So hats off to all of those record collectors out there who are interested in the big band era, because there's some great music. And yeah, that's kind of it, folks. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.